Okay, and after you go to, like I said, to UC Apply link, then you're gonna say create an account. You'll put it your email, your personal email. You'll confirm again your personal email. You'll create a password. I highly recommend that you use the same one as you're using for your CSU application so that it's easy to track back and know. And then make sure to agree to the terms and then you'll create an account. I already have an account, so I'm just going to go straight into my account. See if I remember it. Oh, see, Ms. Arantes doesn't remember her password.
Okay, so Ernesto just made his account. Guadalupe, let us know when you make your account. And then Ernesto, yes, fall 2021.
Perfect. You'll have a few questions that are going to come up. But for now, mine looks like this. And I'm going to walk you through once both of you have created an account so that I can guide you through each tab and give you context.
Guadalupe just said she's done too, creating
Great.
the account.
Okay. Great. After you create your account and you agree to the terms, then you'll be asked, right, what term are you applying to? Please remember that you're applying for fall quarter semester 2021. Okay. Most likely is going to ask you to the level of which program you're applying to, and it would be undergraduate. Okay, your first time freshman applying to college. And then keep in mind too that the UCs will not consider your ACT scores when making admission decisions or granting any scholarship monies. Okay, so let's start out with about you. Just like the CSU guys, right? The UC application, what I like about it is that you will input your data. You will then, put your personal information, your contact, your citizenship status, your demographics, your background, the whole shebang. Okay. But instead of having quadrants like the CSU application, right? Like step by step letting you know, hey, you've completed step 2 out of the 8, whatnot. This will be your navigating. What you see on your right will be your sort of your quick links right to the different sections of the application. Okay. What is different from the CSU application is the activities and awards and the personal insight questions, right? And I'll dive in a little bit and speak to that so that just to give you context around what they're asking for. Another thing that is different from the CSU application is that you are only completing one UC application. Okay, after you add all the UCs you want to apply to, that application is then sent to each institution that you're applying to. Okay, for those of you who already submitted your CSU apps, you'll notice that you have to individually click on a school, submit it, and then add a second school, submit it, right? And so on and so on. But for the UC, it's just one application. You input all the data and it's sent to the schools that you're applying to with one app. Okay, so just common things to look for, right, is please make sure to use your legal name. Okay, if you do not know your legal name, please check with your parents to make sure that you're putting your the information from your social security, right, that matches that information. If you do not have a social security, looking at your birth certificate and making sure that that matches, right, and vice versa. Okay. The other thing to make a note of is you'll be asked as well for your grades. So making sure that you have access to your transcripts. And if you do not have your hard copy that Ms. Valdivia sent home, you can always request a transcript to be sent to your email. And we'd be more than happy to send it your way. Okay. Another thing to consider is also knowing where you're going to be applying to. So knowing at least which UCs you will be applying to. You can always go back and add, but just making a note, okay, where do I really want to apply to? For those of you who did not qualify for fee waivers for the CSU applications, then inputting the data here and it'll automatically let you know if you qualify, yes or no. And if you do not qualify for a fee waiver, please just let the college team know so that we can problem solve and figure out how to go about covering some of these fees. Each app is $70 for the UCs, just as the CSU. So just make a note of that. Okay. You will input your test scores or your AP exams, your ACT if you took any in the spring, but remember, ACTs are not required. You're going to list your activities and awards, what you've been up to during your high school career, and you will also complete a scholarship and programs, basically checking off if you're interested in being considered for any scholarship opportunities. And I'll walk you through that shortly too. And then personal insight. These are the personal insight questions. There's 8, but you only get to choose 4. Okay, that's the requirement. And we'll do a deep dive too so that I can walk you through step by step so that you know what to do. You are not submitting any application until the college team or one of us reviews your application for you. Okay, so just make that note that you cannot submit until we see it and review and give you feedback. The deadline for the USC application is November 30th. So this time around, it's on a Monday. So Monday, November 30th at 11:59 p.m. is when you're hitting that deadline. Okay. Overall, the application is super straightforward. If you did the CSU application, right, you'll feel that you know what to expect and what questions and where in the information that you need to gather. What is different again is the personalized insight questions where you actually have to draft your response and then adding the activities and describing what you've been involved in. Okay, that's a good amount. I would say it's going to take you at least a few weeks to get that done. Okay, because I know you're all busy high school seniors getting all of your academic work done, right? Making that a priority. But consider your UC application as a place, right? An extra class, right? That you are almost done at the end of the month that you're going to have to do and complete. And then just a friendly reminder, Wednesdays, you guys don't have community. For the days that you guys don't have community, you could always stick around. You can make an appointment with Ms. Valdivias, with Ms. Ayala, with myself, right? You guys can be very creative around, right? Like you don't have to wait for college seminar to come around or for a UC app session like today. You can always request an appointment with us and be more than happy to meet with you. Okay, so let's do the about you personal information. Okay, during this time, what I want you to do is I'm going to give you some time to just input the data that they're asking you. Please use the chat box or unmute yourselves and ask us questions if you get stuck. Okay, I'm gonna put about 10 minutes on the clock so that you could just work on things, and then right at 3:30 I'm going to stop you and I'm going to do a deep dive on the activities and the personal insight questions and break it down for you step by step. Okay, so Ernesto and Guadalupe, if you could please, all right, if you need any help within these next 10 minutes, please let us know. We still have the college team is here to help. Okay. Good questions. I noticed that you're asking about essays. We'll do a deep dive right now about what to expect, but these PIQs are not essays. Think of them as an interview on paper. Okay, I'll walk you through that. But don't worry, we've got you. We want to make sure that you know what to expect. And then for the race category, right? You could also decline to state. Okay, you don't have to, if you don't consider yourself white or Native American, whatever, you can decline to state, but you could also answer the ethnicity piece. The great thing about the applications, you can skip certain sections, or like if you're stuck or you don't know what to do, you can always skip and come back. Whatever information you use for your CSU application about the parent information, that's the same information that you're going to transfer over to your UC application. Right? If you're done with the section about you can always move on to the campuses and majors. Okay. It will ask you to read the UC values. You're going to read the community principles, then you're going to agree, right? Whenever you're ready to move on. You'll see here that you're going to ask you to choose your term and level. You're going to choose your campus, you choose your majors, and then you review, and then you move on. Okay. And just a quick at a glance for your academic history. If by any chance you have your 7th and 8th grade records, you can input that information here. Specifically for if you took like a Algebra 1 class, if you took Spanish class, you can receive credit there. But again, only if you have a record of your grades from middle school. And then you will input your 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th grades. If you've attended college while in high school, you'll input that. And then you review. Test scores, again, just a friendly reminder that you will input ACT or SAT if you took the exams. AP exams, right, subjects that you take into date, and then the IB or TOEFL or international exams do not apply to you at all. So here you probably most likely will just be doing AP exams or ACT. We'll do a deep dive on activities and personal insight questions, but we'll go into that. Okay, you have about 5 more minutes to work on your application, and then we'll do a deep dive shortly.
Ernesto, so for your situation,
could we Jackie, just because we're recording this, could we chat instead? Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Ernesto.
I totally forgot. Okay.
Yeah. And thank you, Jackie. Yeah, perfect. But again, it's very straightforward. It's easy to navigate. You can look at your application status, your account. So I think this is it's very intuitive, where you're like, okay, do I click here and then next? It just guides you through the process. And just because of time, I do want to let me just go in directly to the activities, and then PIQs, and then after that, let's have some work time together. Okay. So just Ernesto and Guadalupe, if we could just focus on this, and so I can guide you through the activities so
Miss,
that you can make a note of it.
Miss,
Yes.
it says I can apply to 4 UCs for free.
Oh, look at that. Okay. So awesome. But right now, let me just walk you in terms of the activities and the personal insight questions, and then we'll shift to helping you individually. Okay. So activities and awards. I just want to really capture this and make sure that you understand, right, what it means. So you're going to be asked, right, to list and add any activities and awards on your UC application. Okay. They want to know what you've been doing outside of the classroom, right? Like, what do you do during your free time, right? And now you have the opportunity to share that with the admission committee at each UC campus. They're looking for quality, okay? They're not looking for quantity, which means that even though you have room to tell us about 20 activities and awards, they want to know what really speaks to you, right? Make sure to focus on the ones that are most important to you. Choose experiences that demonstrate commitment, responsibility, leadership, and most of all, your interest. So an example that I've given to other seniors is, if you've been in leadership, right? You want to talk about your leadership activities there. If you want to talk about being the cheetah of the year or cheetah of the month, because that speaks to the values, right? Of Ganas, pride, all of it, whatever you want to talk about, and it speaks to you, you could share it. If you want to talk about being the national AP scholars, right? Because you passed more than 2 AP exams, you can add that. If you want to talk about being part of the DCAC program with Ms. Valdivias, because she's, provided you and they've provided you sort of guidance and support in your, being the first generation student going off to college, you can speak to that. Okay. Again, you do have a limit of 20 activities and awards, but again, remember that if an admission committee is reviewing your application, you want to make sure that they see a picture, right? That you paint a picture for them of what you've been doing. If, for instance, you've been super busy because you've been working, right? You have no time for other activities, we'll list that, right? Working is an activity. If you, for example, haven't been participating in activities and do not work, but you do help around the household, right? Or you babysit, or you help your mom or your guardian, whoever the case might, you can list that and explain, right? This is what I've been doing, and these are the amount of hours that I've been spending babysitting my nieces and nephews or my siblings. Okay. The great thing about this is that there's categories, right? The first category is listing any awards that you would want to share with them. You could talk about education preparation programs. So like DCAC would be one. AVID would be one if you participated in AVID. Extracurricular activities, so like any clubs, any sports that you've been part of, you list them. Okay. Any courses that that are not required but you're taking, that's awesome. Like if you're doing like a cooking class, if you're doing this and that speaks to you, list it. Any volunteering or community service, you would also list it. Okay. And work experience. So this is telling us about any paid jobs or paid internships that you've had. They want to know what you've been up to. Okay. And you do it one by category. And if you list the award, and you're going to have to type Cheetah Award. Like, you and me know what this is about, but you're going to have to explain it to others, right? And this would be, let's say it's a non-academic award, right? It's a distinction between everyone at ACE, right? For certain values that you represent. I received it my 11th grade, and then like, well, what was, how are award recipients chosen? So giving them context about the award, right? Because if a stranger doesn't know what cheetah of the week or month means, right? You have to explain it to them. So listing it there, you do have 250 characters. So making sure that you type if you want to use a Word document and then copy and paste it so that your spelling is accurate and then your sentences as well. You can also share all of your activities and awards with us if you want us to give you feedback. Some seniors have been doing that with us already. And then what did you do? And you also have to explain what did you do to achieve this award or honor. So it's like a two-part kind of question there. Okay, so making sure, right? Again, you don't want to list all 20, right? Because you have to describe all of them, but you want to make sure that it speaks to you. Work experience, right? Where have you been working? What's your job title? What were your job responsibilities? And then do you still work at this job? Yes or no? So, okay, very straightforward, but it is time consuming where you have to explain and list things. Okay, let's move on to personal insight questions. So let's leave. So just a few tips, right? Again, the personal insight questions are about getting to know you better. This is one area of your application where you have control over what you want to share with the admissions committee, right? You can talk about your life experiences, your interests, your ambitions, and inspirations for the future. Think of as in an interview, right? With the admission office, like if someone's sitting across from you and they're asking you these questions, then you would answer them, right? T by T, right? Like making sure that everything is spelled out. There's no right or wrong answers to these questions. So like Ernesto, you might respond to it differently than your friend or vice versa, right? So then again, it is a very unique situation where like, it's about you. This is your spotlight. Okay, just a few tips to keep in mind. Present your information and ideas in a focused and thoughtful manner. Making a list of accomplishments, activities, awards, or work will lessen the impact of your words, okay? I always tell my students to copy and paste the prompts, right? The questions to a Word document so that you can decode the prompt, really highlight key words, right? So that you can go back to that and make sure that you're answering the question and not just rambling about this random idea or thing that you did in the past, okay? Use specific concrete examples to support your points you want to make. Focus on your examples on the present and your past. Tell us about yourself. We want to know about you, right? And your leadership opportunities, your qualities outside the classroom. Please use your own voice. Your answers should reflect your ideas and be written by you alone. So a lot of I statements, my statements in your responses, right? Because again, it's a personal insight question and it's totally fine to do I statements, even though some other people have shared that in the past that you shouldn't be doing I statements. Again, this is not a persuasive essay. This is not a full-on research paper. This is about you. Okay, it's just someone asking you questions. Try to relax. There are many pieces of the information they're considering. So like this is not a deal breaker. This is just one piece of your application. I always tell my students that, don't freak out, but they do want to know about you. So like this is your opportunity to share out. Okay. So now that we've been going through the tips, I do want to let you know, right, that you have to respond to 4, okay, per questions out of the 8. They're listed below, okay? You have a minimum, right? Responses to each question should be between 250 to 350 words. It's not a lot, okay? So keep that in mind. We can always cut back whenever we're giving feedback and letting you know, hey, you've gone off, you're at 550 words, whatnot. We'll let you know, but we want to make sure that that's sort of the constraint that we do have, the 250 to 350. Okay, all of the 8 questions are listed on the actual application. Okay, but we do ask you, once you've narrowed it down to 4, to copy and paste them, open a Word document, put a title on it and say PIQ or personal insight questions, so that when you're sharing it with us, right, that we know, okay, it's coming from Ernesto and these are his PIQs. Let's take a dive in and really kind of decode Again, I'm going to go over a few, not all of them, but just to let you know like what you should be looking for. So the first question is saying, describe an example of your leadership experience in which you have positively influenced others, helped resolve disputes, or that's the key word, or contributed to a group effort over time. So the first question is asking you to describe, okay? And you're describing an example of your leadership experience. Okay, so that's decoding the first section. And then the second piece is in what context, right? Have you been helping others? Have you contributed to a group effort, right? They want to know, well, hey, what are your leadership experiences and how has that positively influenced within your community, a group of folks, or how have you helped resolve issues? Okay, the key word here is describe and then the or. Pick and choose. Don't do all of them because you don't have the word capacity for it, but you just choose one. The second question is that every person has a creative side and it can be expressed in many ways: problem solving, original and innovative thinking, artistically, to name a few. Okay, describe how you express your creative side. So the question, right, is just that: describe how you express your creative side. That's it. I'm asking you that question. Just tell me about how you express your creative side. Well, Miss Cervantes tends to do, this, blah, blah, blah. You're going to talk about what you do. I think some of these prompts are really going to speak to you, and others will be like, I have no creativity. Like, this doesn't speak to me. So guess what? You have others to choose from. So we move on. Number 3, what would you say is your greatest talent or skill? How have you developed and demonstrated the talent over time? So you're picking either a talent or a skill, and then you're going to share, well, how have you really mastered or developed this skill? That's it. That's the question number 3. If it doesn't speak to you, right, because you feel like you don't have a talent, you move on. And the last one that I'm going to review with you guys is number 4. Describe how you've taken advantage of a significant educational opportunity or work to overcome an educational barrier you have faced. Again, keywords that you should look for is or, right? Describe, right? Again, you only have 350 words, so you're very limited in how you can go about responding to these questions. So I ask you, decode the prompts, then start drafting, okay? Don't just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna ramble and just share this out, because then most likely I'm gonna ask you to start from scratch. I'm like, nope, this is not working, or this is not going in the right direction. So again, key piece, and I think Ms. Tam would be super proud of you, and Ms. Julian and all your English teachers, like, decode their prompt, okay? After you're done with that, like I said, you're not going to be typing directly to your UC. You're going to type all your responses for your UC PIQs on a document, and then you're going to share it with us so we can give you feedback. Again, the deadline that we would want you to have this all said and done is before Thanksgiving break. We might be asking for a lot, but again, November 20th is we would want to see the whole application and even your first initial drafts of your PIQ so that we can give you feedback. Okay, I know it might be a lot to ask, but we want to make sure that you hit that November 30th deadline, and give us enough time too, right, to read your stuff, to give you feedback, because it will take a few days for us to go back and forth. And also remember, people are off for Thanksgiving break, right? We want to eat our tamales, we want to eat our, be with our family, enjoy that, Thursday to Friday. Even though you guys have the whole week off, right? We want to enjoy our time too. So just keep that in mind. And remember, you can always request a meeting with us. You can do, sessions together. But I do want to give you sort of a breakdown of how to create an account, how to go about inputting your data, and then how to go about doing your words and activities, and then decoding and making sure that you actually answer the personal insight questions. Remember, these are not essays. These are just a quick response on paper as if it was an interview. And lastly, please do not submit until we review your application entirely by a college team member. Okay, so just give you a heads up on that. Any questions?